What's up, guys, and welcome to the Underground Pub Show, episode 60, here on the Pippy K Multiverse Network. My name is Schreiber, and Bobo's back there. There he is. He'll be, yeah.
You're perfectly lined up there.
He'll be doing something eventually. And CJ, for the second time in 3 weeks, is not here. So we got the Play Harder Radio guys. Chad, James, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
thanks for having
man.
us.
Thank
Glad
y'all.
to be here.
Thank y'all for kind of coming in and bailing us out, man. We appreciate it. We're kind of like network buddies now, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
You call in, help us out sometimes. So
I love talking to y'all's show because you actually
kind of
like,
know
yeah,
a little
talk
bit
to what we talk about, or talk about what I want to talk
and
about,
and how we talk about it.
and how you talk about it. Yeah,
We kind of have the same format, sports and BS, mostly
pretty much. Yeah,
BS.
that's kind of the way I look at our show: is sports and BS. That's pretty much how it goes.
That literally is actually in our intro. That's
Really?
oh, yeah. Sports and BS.
It was the one I did. I don't know if Kenny's got it in the one that he cooked up, but
No, there's a lot of bullshit going on in your new intro too. That was
it's
kind of
good.
the point.
We say sports and entertainment for our show, but I mean, like Bobo, you can back me up on this. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about kids eating Tide Pods recently, and then last week we were talking about emo rap. So I mean. We just think of weird things to talk about sometimes.
I'm not gonna have a lot of input on the emo rap.
Dude, it's terrible. Don't
Just
even get me started on. I went on kind of a tangent about it last week when I discovered that it was a real thing, and it's just no good.
I've got zero input on it.
yeah.
Keep it that way.
People are killing themselves to listen to it.
It's
Really, buses.
it's bad news. It's really
Let me get Bobo.
That's kind of fucked up now that I think about it because
Is it worse than eating a Tide Pod?
yeah, it's pretty much on par with it because I mean there was an emo rapper that died on a tour bus not long ago, and that's what he's talking about. But
Awesome.
Did you say a short bus?
what?
A
Short bus?
Short bus or
Yep.
tour bus?
Yeah.
Oh, tour bus. My
yeah.
bad. That
So,
was
yeah.
probably.
So I don't think the world's probably missing that guy.
No, probably not.
Xanax dealer that's missing him though.
Yeah, there's definitely a Xanax dealer that's missing him. There's probably quite
Done.
there's probably quite a few dealers that are missing that guy. His name was Little Peep. Rest in peace, buddy.
He's Dunzo.
That guy's Dunzo. Oh well, what a great way to start the show. Thank y'all very much for tuning in. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Obviously, the Super Bowl is this week, so we're gonna be definitely sorry, Little Peep. I see that, Bobo. We're going to be talking a lot about that tonight. There were some big trades that went down in the NBA and the NFL. We're definitely going to be covering that. A new league in football is going to be, a semi-new league is coming back in football, but we've got a few years to prepare ourselves for it, so to speak. So we got a lot to talk about. Always the live chat's open, so y'all please join in, and the hotline is open, 907-7686. If y'all want to chime in with me, Bobo, and the Play Harder Radio guys, please do. With that being said, I did want to get this out of the way. Last week on the show, we had a segment where we talked about the worst fans in sports. We had this whole segment about it, and
James is one of those.
Is it? Well, we're talking about the actual like groups.
No, a whole city.
Gotcha.
like certain teams in specific, I guess,
Right.
or cities for that matter.
But thank you, Chad.
But we did a poll on our group on Facebook, and of course, in this area, Alabama took it by a staggering hold. But I mean, what do you guys think? Out of all the fans you've you've encountered over your lives, I should say.
We decided Alabama was the worst.
The poll that we came across on our group, it was Alabama by a long shot. I think the New York Yankees were a runner-up.
They're that as bad as.
LSU, I wouldn't even wear a Gator shirt to.
Yeah, that place is horrible.
Yeah, I can't wear gray.
I've worn an Auburn shirt to LSU game and had one of the best experiences of a great experience.
Yeah, if LSU
Really?
didn't make the list, I mean, they're run as.
Yeah.
They were definitely on there, but I think they only got just a few votes.
A lot of people think that my Gator fans are pretty bad.
Oh
I don't see how. I
They
mean,
can be.
Yeah.
I've
But
been
I'm
to,
a Florida State fan, so that might be subjective.
Yeah.
I think FSU had more votes than Florida. And
I think
LSU
this whole thing is subjective, quite honestly.
well, being
when it comes to college sports, yeah.
I got living in Denver for 24 years, growing up in Michigan, living in Baltimore for 5 years. I got a pretty good cross section of
Yeah.
Yeah,
teams
donkey
that I've been
fans
around.
are pretty bad too, man.
They can be bad. Red Sox fans, when I was living in Baltimore, absolutely the worst baseball fans.
Really, Boston fans in general. I brought this up last week. They're very spoiled. Therefore, they can kind of come off like dicks because if you look at every major Boston team, Patriots, Bruins, Blackhawks, Red Sox, they've all won a championship in the last 10 years. So they tend to come off like kind of dicks. I mean, maybe that's just me, but I've noticed that about Boston fans over the years.
Yeah, it's
I wonder how many times they said, "How do you like them apples?" after they win.
Oh, God.
You like apples?
Wow, your balls are so big.
Uh,
you can't even fit them
Now-
in my mouth.
Kyle Miller on the
Oh,
live
not
chat, he
them
says
apples?
Philly has a wholesome fan base, and that was one of the ones we talked about last week that kind of brought this
They're
whole thing
football
up.
fans.
Yeah, they're even in like movies that talk about the Eagles, kind of like the Invincible story, that you could see that the fans were bad. And
Or,
Silver Lining Playbook.
yeah, that movie,
Same,
yeah.
it was same.
Yeah, if you have a jail in the basement of your stadium, there's a problem.
Oh, is that real?
Oh yeah, it's real. They had a courthouse down there and everything, so they could process them so quickly.
In that show, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there was an episode where when the Philadelphia Phillies were in the World Series, there was a joke going through the entire episode where there was a tunnel between the stadium and the Holiday Inn next door to get the opposing team out of the stadium because Philly fans are so passionate. Like, because they...
Passionate.
Yeah, it's so passionate.
With
That's
quotes.
that's what they always said. They're so passionate, aka they just like to hammer
As the
people.
cars burn.
Did you see today where I think it was today or yesterday, where the Minnesota hotels and stuff in Minneapolis were denying requests for rooms to the Eagles staff.
No kidding,
Yeah,
really?
It's crazy.
I saw that.
It's kind of boss.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
After what went down at the game, I was like, they're talking all these shit to Minnesota fans. Like, don't they know if they win this game, they got to play
They
there
got to go
in the
play the
Super
Super
Bowl?
Bowl in Minnesota.
They
That
have to
was
go
was
there.
unbelievable.
Well,
actually.
Bobo, he on Facebook we have a messenger where all of us kind of like talk about topics before the actual show, and Bobo was posting all these videos on our messenger a couple weeks ago of all these Philadelphia Flyers fans and some heinous shit that they've done.
I actually liked them, though. I appreciate what they were doing.
I mean, yeah, some of it was really
pretty funny.
Some of it was really funny, but really out there,
They
like
were trolling the hockey players to the point where they were trying to fight them.
Yeah, trying to jump over the glass and fight them,
get to
like,
And then,
that-
of course, the player then gets kicked out. So
yeah, that's
they win.
that's impressive amount of like anger that's coming out of the stands, but they pulled it off, man.
To your to the Alabama point, that poll that you found that had Alabama as the worst fans out there. I went to the game of the century, 2006. Michigan, Ohio State, both undefeated. As a Michigan fan, dressed in Michigan gear.
Yeah.
And I don't think Alabama holds a candle to Ohio State fans.
I've heard that. I've heard Ohio State fans are really, really
Before
bad.
the game, I mean, I got all kinds of shit before the game, but one kid just drunk as can be just comes sprinting up to me right up in my face and goes, "Your mom's a cunt," and sprints off.
Oh
and
my
I-
god.
That's my kind
I
of
mean,
guy.
just like, really?
We yeah, we were talking about LSU fans. I think I mentioned it last week. Carly and Keith and Miss Rebel a few years back, they took me to the LSU and Alabama game to a tailgate at it in 2011. And me and Keith, we were walking around. We had a few drinks, and a LSU guy walked past me. There was a pile of dirt next to us, and he actually elbowed me. And I fell into the pile of dirt, and he told me to get a haircut, faggot. So that was a good one.
What's again? My kind of guy.
And the funny thing was, I didn't really care. I just got up and just sort of brushed the dirt off me. And Keith was ready to fight this guy. I mean, you remember Keith, right?
Yeah.
Like, he was ready to go. Like,
Turns out the guy actually heard Schreiber's music, and that was told.
fair enough.
Just kidding.
Nah. Considering
Yeah,
I've
right.
literally been in the
Not.
studio all day recording, that hurts just a little bit. But for the second straight week. I guess LSU. That's kind of where you're.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with LSU.
LSU. What about you, James? Are you going with the Ohio State guys?
Ohio State.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean,
Bobo, do you have any?
I've heard people pee on. I heard about stories about LSU fans peeing on children.
what?
So after there, I will never say anyone else other than them going forward.
Do you still dislike them more or less than
Rebel told a
FSU
story
fans?
about that.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, but I mean,
she told me a story about someone, a child being peed on.
by an LSU fan.
Yes.
So I mean, so
That might have been
Was
his
it
wife.
is R. Kelly?
Well, yeah, was it R. Kelly?
Yeah, in that sort of vein, yeah.
God.
They were
I mean,
acquitted.
That to me, that's pretty extreme.
So that's probably the only
That.
probably the only fan base you can think of that's probably worse
I mean,
than
I'm sure
Florida State.
someone else
You're,
might have peed in a child before. I don't know. I don't really know how that all goes.
So
down,
13 minutes into the show, we've already crossed into this
but if
territory.
there
Well,
is- but
welcome
it-
to the Underground Pub Show,
but I
guys.
know one fan base has done it. So
I've actually peed in a pool with kids in it. Is that?
Oh,
that's
you son of a
worse, 'cause
bitch.
You get more.
You
kids
son of a
per
bitch.
pee. That's like super effective.
Kyle Miller said
Kyle
Alabama
Miller.
teabagged an LSU fan kid in a restaurant. Okay,
That's
I
impressive that could just happen.
yeah, I mean,
Right?
actually, I think that is impressive. So nobody stopped this Alabama guy.
Yeah.
Just went, okay, cool. Well, fair enough. We're going to move on from the worst fans because we really talked about that last week. I just wanted to get these guys' opinion on that. It seems to have taken a dark turn. But yeah, the Super Bowl is this weekend. We talked about it a little bit last week, but not too much. Let's get into it a little bit this week. It's the Eagles. It's the Patriots. It looks like Gronk is good to go. That's what we've been hearing. Nick Foles, man. It feels weird saying Nick Foles is going to be going in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady, but it's happening. I remember today, I think it was Von Miller I saw on one of the ESPN shows. He said the Patriots are lucky that they're not facing Carson Wentz. Do you guys agree with that statement?
Absolutely agree. But Nick Foles has stepped up and done an incredible job in the towards the end of the season and all through the playoffs for him being a backup quarterback. Man, it's pretty impressive that you're getting your team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering it was his team, then it wasn't his team. Now it's kind of his team again, or at least for right now it is. But
If Foles wins this thing, man, they're gonna have it. Well, I mean, Wentz is gonna be the starter regardless, but somebody's gonna have to cut a pretty big check.
Denver Broncos.
I think they're already-
After what Washington did with
Alex Smith.
yeah, it's almost forced. I mean, I don't know why they didn't wait, especially with.
I thought the same thing myself.
Free agency is about to come up soon,
Mm-hmm.
so obviously, they're going to keep Wentz.
Would you be willing to pay Wentz at this point, though? The big money, like stroke him at $20 million. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, after it's what, his second year now. Yeah, I mean, I'd be looking at it. I mean, it's one injury. It happens to the best of them. But I mean, God, he lost one game, I think it was.
right. But I think most of his performances coming down the stretch when he had to fill in for Wentz were just kind of enough to get the job done.
Yeah,
And then he just but he blew up in the
In the
NFC
playoffs,
Championship. So
and then they've got a great.
I mean, that was
defense
enough
over
to
there,
get
too.
paid next year.
Yeah, easily. I mean, even if Nick Foles is or isn't with the Eagles next year, he's
Three
look-
of his games, he didn't throw a single touchdown going down the stretch.
Well,
and his first playoff
Yeah.
game was no touchdown.
yeah against the Falcons. He didn't throw any touchdowns. It was all
He threw 4, then none, and
Mm-hmm.
I think none again.
and
And championship game. he
really,
blew it.
Matt Ryan had every chance in the world to put that game away too, including that very
Every
last
chance.
play. When you have one of the best wide receivers in all of the NFL, and he couldn't close it. I mean, it makes me kind of wonder, like, how great is Julio Jones?
Ice.
Yeah, I mean, I see. I'm
Well,
I'm
he
still not sold on Matty Ice, and that's not the Saints fan of me talking. It's the
Did he
football
fall
fan of me
before
talking.
that last attempt? Did Jones fall and get back up to try and make that catch? I want to say.
I mean,
he was something off balance or whatever that was weird about that last play. But you got the best receiver in the game. They say, you might say,
One of
it's
them, yeah.
arguable.
Him and AB.
I'm going to him 4 times.
easily, and then the running game's not bad either. They got a good running game too. Like, so I mean, in all honesty, the Falcons had many chances to put that game, but I mean, it seems like during that divisional round of the playoffs this year, we were saying that about a lot of the games. I mean, God, I hate bringing the fucking game up, but I mean the Vikings and Saints game, like. At one point in time, it looked like the Vikings had that, and then at one point in time, it looked like the Saints had that, and it's one of those things you can just really never tell. The craziest things can happen to, switch things, even if it is the worst defensive play of mankind
Ever.
ever. Yeah.
In any sport.
It wasn't even a defensive play. It was just, I don't know what the fuck that was.
It was a
squat.
it was bad. It was bad. It was bad as
really
well.
Weird.
Like, it was so bad that even as a Saints fan, I've seen some of the memes that have been made out of it, like the one with Stone Cold Steve Austin doing the stunner on Marcus Williams during that play. Even I thought that was funny, and I shouldn't think that's funny,
Falcons
but
after last Super Bowl were kind of like a meme, like they were the meme,
yeah.
the comeback meme. So
And the funny thing is Atlanta Falcons fans or players even were actually attempting to troll Saints fans and Saints players after that Minnesota game last week. They tried, and it didn't work out very well because essentially all we had to do was be like, well, y'all won, y'all lost too, and
Yeah.
what the fuck happened last year, you know? Like,
Yeah, they did a lot with it.
yeah, we've won a Super Bowl, y'all haven't. I mean, unfortunately, I mean that one Saints Super Bowl victory, we're gonna run out of steam on that eventually. Like,
I thought it was a chance. I would have liked the Saints to beat Philadelphia.
I mean, I think a lot of people would because in a lot of ways, if you're a football fan, especially with how weird this NFL season's been with all the drama and stuff like that, who would not have loved to see Drew Brees and Tom Brady go at it in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
40 and 39.
Yeah, two of the best quarterbacks that are playing the game right now. Two, semi-decent defenses, especially with the Saints. Two, I mean, the running game that the Saints had this year. It just seemed like the best story, and we were robbed on it because some asshole fucking made a terrible play at the end of the Vikings game.
That was the worst.
Can you
All you had to do was just catch him when he came down.
Yeah.
Anything
him
other
down.
than anything other than what he did probably would have been suffice. He could have stopped in the middle of the play, watched him catch it, and then tackle him.
Right.
Made sure he got him inbounds, and then the 5 seconds would have ended, and that shit.
Yeah, no timeouts.
Think about the scenario that didn't happen. Imagine if Jacksonville and Minnesota Vikings were to play in a Super Bowl. Do you think anybody would watch it?
I mean, I think some people would just because of the simple fact that I think there's a lot of football fans that are really fucking tired of seeing the Patriots. To where the fact that they weren't there, I think a lot of people would just watch it just the fact they weren't there. But no, overall, I see what you mean. No, I don't think it would be like, sky high rocket ratings or anything like that. Like,
Are you tired of the Patriots?
a little bit.
Do you not like success?
I because I'm an Alabama fan, I do like success, and I got kind of used to it there for a minute with my Saints because they were doing well for a hot minute until they had that 7-9 slump for 3 years. But no, I mean I get it. Like I kind of get tired of the Patriots for a little bit, but last year I was rooting for them last year, obviously against the Falcons. I had to. There's no team in the world I would root for against the Falcons in this. Yeah.
How many 28-3 T-shirts did you see this year?
Honestly, not a lot because I haven't been to New Orleans since that game. But I know they're out there. I'll be in New Orleans. Well, me and Bobo will both be in New Orleans for Fat Tuesday in a couple weeks, and I'm positive I will see some over there.
Yeah, there was a lot for the last Falcon game there.
Oh, I've seen a bunch
Yeah.
of them on TV
and just
stuff
other
like that.
and just others. People just wearing them around.
It was almost like when the Patriots beat the Falcons in that Super Bowl. It was almost like the Saints won the Super Bowl all over again. Because the last thing in the world that Saints fans want is for any of these other teams to win the Super Bowl because it's kind of the one bragging right we have all over all of them is that we've got the ring and they don't. The Bucks, they won it one time with John Gruden way back when, but other than that,
2002.
Cam Newton has not won a Super Bowl.
he has not won a Super
I
Bowl.
love that.
Yeah, I love it too. Man, Cam Newton's one of those football players that I feel like I was put on this world to just hate. As an Alabama fan and a Saints fan, like this guy could just go fuck himself for all I care. Like,
As when Chad was saying that I'm one of the worst fans when they played in that Super Bowl against Denver. I bet I yelled Cam Newton sucks.
This past weekend I was in
750
Nashville,
times.
and his QB and his quarterback and OC coach was hanging out with us.
Really?
Yeah. His name was Rhett Lashley, and he's with SMU now.
oh yeah.
Yeah, he left. He was there when Chiswick was there. And then
Name
left.
dropper.
Yes, I'm a big deal.
Fair enough.
How was
Yeah, I was in Nashville.
It was
Old
good, man. We had
Nashville,
a
as they
good
call it.
time. Yeah, it's fantastic, man. It's that place is full of women. It's really clean. It's just
Good
everything.
music.
Great music.
Food's
yeah.
awesome.
food? About to ask about the food.
Food's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard some of the best barbecue you can get in America outside of Texas is Nashville.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Basically, if your food sucks there, you're not going to survive. It's going to close down. So it's highly competitive and it's cool, man. The bar scene's cool. Everybody there is really nice. The first time I was there visiting, I always wear a fanny pack, and this homeless dude was sitting there on the side of the road and he was like, "How's your day going?" And I was like, "Good." And I was waiting for him to ask for money, and he didn't ask for money. He goes, "I hope you have a piece of pizza in that fanny pack because I'm starving."
At least he was on his shit. Finally.
No, it's good, man. So
Did you?
no, I didn't.
No pizza.
That'd been awesome if I did.
When way back during the Stanley Cup this past season, we had Ryan call in, and he works for the Nashville Predators now. He's actually a big deal over there, so to speak. He's
He's still small.
still small. But no, he called in, and it was really fun talking to him because it was right in the middle of I want to say the series was tied at the time, 2-2.
Gotcha.
And he was telling us just about how everything that was going on over there in Nashville, and it was really neat to hear about it because, I mean, you just saw it on TV, like, the town was exploding.
Yep.
Then
They
we
had-
jinxed them.
Yeah, and then we jinxed him, and they lost 2 games after that. But I mean,
We'll never call in again.
yeah, I'm pretty sure we've lost. We're done hearing from Ryan, but it was cool. They made it. On top of that, I mean, they barely made it for that matter. I think they squeaked in by like half a point, and then they swept the Blackhawks in the first round, which
Unbelievable.
I mean, if you're in hockey and you see that you have to play the Blackhawks, that's one of the few teams, I should say, that you don't want to see in the playoffs. That's
Right.
Yeah, I mean, my Tampa Bay Lightning got beat by them in the game of games, the Stanley Cup, and Nashville just beat them 4 games in a row. So it was wild.
They love their Titans, man. It's not football season there anymore, and everywhere you went, man, there was hats and shirts, and it was crazy.
The
It was like game day.
The Titans are definitely, in my opinion, they are definitely an up and coming team. Easily.
Their coach Mike Vrabel was actually on my flight with his staff when I was flying from here to. I guess they were here for the Senior Bowl scouting.
Really?
Super cool guy, really nice. But probably the funniest story ever. This kid that worked for Chick-fil-A recognized him and asked him for a picture, and Mike was cool about doing it. But he goes, "What made you a Texans fan?" And he goes, "I mean, Titans."
Yeah, I figured.
But you could tell he's just not used to spitting it out yet. So,
Yeah,
That's funny.
that's funny.
yeah, he quit-
Well,
it
he's
was-
from Ohio State. I could see how he would
It
screw
was
that
funny how
up.
quick he corrected himself.
But when it comes to the Titans, it looks like Derrick Henry's kind of on the rise over there. Had very good games the last several ones. I mean, do you think he's just gonna maybe this offseason just be the guy now?
That's funny. I didn't watch a whole lot of NFL this year, but one of the games we watched was James and I, and watched the pregame, and it was Derrick Henry warming up, dude, and it was freakish.
He's a beast.
He is. He's great. I love him.
But hopefully he's coming into his own, man, and you'll start seeing some more 100-yard games out of him, stuff like that. But that guy on third and short, how do you stop him?
He seems to blow up pretty well too whenever the time's right for him. I mean, he's sitting behind DeMarco Murray, which makes sense. That's a great running back too. But if you're part of the Texans organization right now, I mean, are you looking to maybe trade DeMarco Murray and see what you can get out of him and go ahead and put Heisman Henry in the front? Or
Right?
It seems like it'd be a smart move for him right now. I mean, trades are a big deal right now. We'll come back to the Super Bowl in a minute. Let's kind of move on to that. Trades are going on right now. Alex Smith is now going to the Washington Redskins, which I'm not gonna lie, guys, I didn't see this shit coming. I really didn't.
I didn't think he was going to stay in Kansas City, but
I knew that much too. Yeah.
but I didn't see this
Well, do you really think it's gonna
be an upgrade.
be an upgrade from Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins wasn't bad. I thought he was an alright quarterback. I mean,
I heard he's going to Denver.
what's that?
I heard Cousins is heading to Denver. From what I understand.
That's the rumor going around.
We'll see what Brock Osweiler has to say about that.
Is he coming through the mix? Okay. I wasn't hearing you in my headphones, so that's why I was curious. Yeah, I've heard Kirk Cousins is going to be going to Denver. I mean, it seems like every time a seasoned quarterback leaves a team, Denver is sort of the first name to come up. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like the main thing with Kansas City is they're saving a little bit of money doing this.
Right.
They're getting
They've still got a good squad, and you think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the QB? Is that the guy?
Has to be.
over in Kansas City. Yeah, easily. I don't see why not. I mean, they'd have to pick up some free agent that
He's a
has to
stud, man. That guy's an incredible athlete. His alma mater is one of my favorite schools, Texas Tech.
Yeah, I know you've.
His dad could ball.
We've adopted.
Yeah.
I don't know that you've adopted, but I've adopted.
I've seen the pictures on Facebook of you guys there.
Oh yeah.
Did you see the helmet that Chad got, our sponsor for the other show, Tell Staffing and HR? Chad got him a Texas Tech helmet.
No, I didn't.
That
see
helmet
that.
is
Badass.
badass.
He's got a room. He's got basically all the SEC teams, and so we went out there for a business deal, and he ended up kind of adopting him as his second team too. So that's what I loaded him up with a helmet.
I've heard that the stadium that Texas Tech plays at is supposed to be really nice too.
It's badass, man. It's extremely loud. It's definitely like everybody's. If the stadium's in your hometown, it's home field advantage. But this, man, I think it really does add a few points here and there because you've got it's just loud, man.
Yeah, loud stadiums, man. That certainly helped me. Look
Seattle
what
and
Seattle for
A&M.
years, man.
Didn't
Jesus.
help him against TCU that day, unfortunately.
No,
not.
it did not. Ugh.
It wasn't a bad game to watch from the playoff commissioner's box, though.
No, it was awesome.
By the way, if you guys want to chime in on what we're talking about or whatever you want to talk about, the hotline is open, 907-7686. We're talking about the trades that recently just happened, specifically right now, the Alex Smith trade. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to Washington. Personally, I think they're going to save some money I take that back. They're going to kind of save some money with this trade. They also, like, the minute they got the trade, they gave him, a 4-year extension?
Yep.
Worth some pretty serious money.
Yeah.
You know what it was?
It was like 20-something guaranteed, but I mean, I think it's 94.
Whoa.
It's $94 million for
Whoa.
the 4 years.
It's something ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah. I
How
mean,
much
I know.
is Nick Foles going to get?
I know, right? I mean, I know, like, seeing that we're live right now, I should know these numbers by heart, but I know it was 94. I think it was 94 million guaranteed and 94 million altogether for 4 years, and 20-something guaranteed. So he's good to go for a minute. I guess they believe this is going to be their guy, but in my opinion, if the Redskins are going to be a legitimate team, they need more than just a quarterback.
Everybody in the
Alex-
chat wants to know why the black man lost his seat at the table, by the way.
I keep seeing that.
I just now look down.
Alex isn't a young man though.
No.
He's been in the league for he was with Urban Meyer at Utah. Think about how long ago that was. So I can't see this being the future of your team.
He played with
What year
Harbaugh,
did he
too,
come
with the
to Florida?
49ers.
04.
Yeah, man. So 13 years, 14
I
years.
think him and Carson Palmer were in the same draft.
He was with the 49ers with
Yep.
Harbaugh too for a hot minute. In fact, he his last time in the playoffs. Well, no, that's not true. He was in the playoffs a few years ago with Kansas City, but he beat the Saints in one of his last years with the 49ers in the playoffs. I'll never forget that game for as long as I live. It was a Hail Mary pass that he did with the 49ers to beat us. So yeah, I don't know. Alex Smith, I mean, he's certainly not a bad quarterback. I think he can get the job done, but
He's a game manager.
it kind of like Kirk Cousins is. I don't see a
Yeah, it's like a lateral trade.
I think a lot of people feel that way. I don't think Kirk Cousins felt that way about himself a couple years ago. But I don't think since he made what was the comment he made? How do you like me now or something like that? Real blatantly, I don't think he's been how do you like me now since then.
His
I feel-
paycheck
How
says
did you like
that,
me a
though.
while ago?
Yeah, right. I feel like if I'm Kirk Cousins right now, like part of me feels kind of relieved. Just get that bullshit off your shoulders. Go to another team that actually wants you, because the guy played on a franchise tag for the last 2 years, which is sort of like the biggest slap in the face to a quarterback, let alone for 2 fucking years in a row. So I mean,
Plus, it's the Redskins.
The bigger slap
I would
could
hate
be
to.
if the Browns decide they want him.
That's the other
Then
team I was
there's
going to
that.
bring up. Like when you grow up, you're always a fan of somebody, but I couldn't imagine being even not an elite, just a regular quarterback. You get traded, you find out you're going to the Redskins or the Browns. You cannot be excited.
No.
If you're looking for an opportunity, though, I mean,
Yeah.
Some of these
That's a job.
college players probably have a different outlook on it, because I mean, no matter what the team is, they just found out they're gonna make a fuckload of money, you know.
Man.
But
I've seen some slightly disappointed looking faces sometimes when they get told they're going to Cleveland.
Well,
People like, oh man.
well, I mentioned this a few weeks ago on our show. I read about this in Sean Payton's book. Whenever during his first year with the Saints during the draft before the season started, when he told the agent of Reggie Bush that, okay, look, we're about to draft Reggie Bush, the agent actually told him, look, man, he actually doesn't want to play for you guys.
That's
like,
wild.
can you just let it go? And and like Sean Payton's and Zach Words' opinion were, no, go fuck yourself. We're drafting him right now. And apparently, whenever the two met, Reggie and Sean Payton, Reggie was very apologetic and yada yada yada. But I mean, at the same time, what the hell was he supposed to say at that
Yeah.
point in time? Like,
That was like the whole
Fuck
Eli
you, we're
Manning
drafting him.
Chargers debacle.
yep. Or that
John
Elway.
Elway. John Elway.
and there's a quarterback that's in the draft right now.
It's a dude from USC.
Yeah, he said he doesn't want to play
Sam
for the
Darnold.
Browns.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold.
So if you're the Browns, do you fucking take this guy first
Right.
overall? Say too fucking bad you're playing for us.
I don't think he's the first
Kuiper
quarterback.
has Josh Allen
Yeah,
as the
I
number
think
one.
Josh Allen's going to go first. It's funny because I was talking about Josh Allen being the guy a
Yeah.
year ago that he was going to be. He was actually my Heisman pick.
Yeah, we talked about that on y'all show
yeah.
last week or 2 weeks ago. No, he's really good, and apparently he he did some flashes at the Senior Bowl last week.
He looked good.
Supposedly, the guy that really turned heads at the Senior Bowl this past weekend was, as far as quarterbacks go, was the guy from Richmond University.
The Spiders.
Yeah, supposedly that guy had an incredible game. He was the MVP of the game. I went on to find this out afterwards that the owner of Reese's, which is the main sponsor of the Senior Bowl, he went to school at Richmond, so that kind of makes a little bit more sense. But if you look at the guy's numbers, he had a great game, but I don't know if that's going to translate into some kind of NFL career or anything like that. But one good thing that did come out of the Senior Bowl that I did notice was homeboy from UCF. I'm blanking on his name, but the guy with the one hand.
Yeah.
Finally got himself an invite to the combine after that game.
I thought he was going to go play
Nice.
baseball.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
No, but he
Like Abbott, remember Abbott
Yeah,
for
right.
the Angels?
Josh Abbott.
the guy
Use
from
that thing as a bat.
that defensive player from UCF. One of y'all help me out with the name.
I
But,
can't remember his name either.
yeah, I'd have to-
18.
Whoever he is, he had a great game against Auburn. I remember that, and he did really well in the Senior Bowl too. But apparently, he had been denied an invitation to the combine like 2 or 3 times. And it was what was really funny was the way I found this out was when I was watching the Senior Bowl. He was being interviewed during the game, and he mentioned that and he was like, "Well, I hope my play today is turning some heads." And it turns out that he was actually supposed to be on the field when that happened. They were doing a special teams play, and you heard a coach yelling at him, and he turned around and he started to run, but the play already happened. Then he came back, and the people that were like, "Oh man, you just screwed that guy's chances of making the combine." But
I would like to see him and Jason Pierre-Paul patty cake.
Priceless. That would be, yeah.
that would be
Thank you.
interesting.
You know who? Speaking of quarterbacks, though, who I think is a sleeper in the quarterback ranks is Mason Rudolph.
Yep, me and you definitely agree on that one. I like.
I
him
don't
a
know why
lot.
he's not getting more talk.
He doesn't. He
I
really.
mean, we're talking about
Oklahoma State guy?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about a 3rd rounder.
I mean,
They're talking.
well, in one of the mock drafts I saw on NFL.com recently, he actually went late in the 1st round, but I don't see that happening. It's just because there's a lot of teams that are in need of a quarterback this year, but no, Mason Rudolph, he got talked about a lot at the beginning of the year when he was like briefly part of the Heisman talk, and then once they lost a few games, that was it. But I like the kid.
I'm thinking if I'm a high school badass quarterback, that I'm not going to these big schools. If you look at Josh Allen and Wentz and these guys, why not go to a North Dakota State or, Boise maybe, and then just show out. You know what I mean?
Just beat the dog shit out of all these teams. Yeah.
And maybe it's not the best prep for you to get to the NFL or to better yourself, but I think you'll be looked at completely different than if you've lost 5 games, 4 games.
Where did Wentz go?
In North Dakota.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Cam Newton and I guess maybe Jameis Winston, if you want to look at it that way. I mean, Jameis Winston, he's not doing a terrible job in the NFL, but it's nothing to brag about right now. But outside of those two, what was the last quarterback that was drafted from a major school? Like, well, I guess it was Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Robert Griffin III.
Russell Wilson.
And Robert Griffin III was a bust. You know, like
You know what? I
And you look, man.
I think he kind of got busted. Way Shanahan. It was Shanahan, right?
should have taken him out of that playoff
He
game.
should have never played that playoff game.
No, you're right. He
He
should have
should
been
have
in there
never
at
played
all.
again that year. He
He had
looked like he almost maybe looked like a better pick until he got hurt that year.
I do have to.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Deshaun Watson, if he didn't get hurt last year, I think that would be the rookie of the year.
Mitch
this year.
Trubisky.
Yeah.
You want us to keep going?
Yeah, so fair enough. So there's a few. I guess I'm just thinking of SEC teams, but no. But you do make a point though.
Oh
like,
yeah, there is only one Power 5
Nick
conference.
Foles.
Nick Foles. Yeah. Well, Nick Foles kind of fell off there for a minute. He lost his job, but so fair enough. So I mean,
Jared
Goff.
Goff
I like to say Goff.
showed out pretty good this second year.
Yeah, he did. Compared to the way he started his first
God,
year.
he would look like a total bust as
Oh man, it was not looking
freshman
good.
camp.
And then I know he
if,
just
if
turned
you
it
look
around.
at the way, though, I think they finally got a coaching staff in there that was willing to develop him and take their time doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he was thrown into the mix a little too heavily when he first came
I
in.
usually new quarterbacks are rookie quarterbacks are in my opinion.
His first starting game was against the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome that year. And, I mean, even on a Saints bad year, any quarterback and any team will tell you that is not an easy place to play at.
But they kind of broke him down to a simpler playbook and then started building up from
And Todd
there.
Gurley-
It paid off.
Yeah,
one
Todd
off.
Gurley having an MVP like season, which we're actually going to get to that in just a minute.
Well, you're a Green Bay fan?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the classic example of how a quarterback should be developed, in my mind,
I
is
think so,
Aaron
too.
Rodgers.
we talked about that on your show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, what he sat for 3 years, didn't he?
Yeah, people have gone away from that. I mean, I guess some teams are forced to, but I see a lot of teams doing it when they really don't have to. They just want to, think they can win right away by throwing
Get
some
their
new guy
money's
out
worth
there.
or something
Yeah.
out of
Like-
out of the pick.
I gotta make sure that no one thinks we made a bad pick. So let's go ahead and start them right now. Look, everybody, we were right. It doesn't always work out that way.
Oops.
Yeah, it ended up working out good for Rodgers, but imagine, when you're coming out of college and you've got to go sit behind Favre. When is your contract year? Is it 3 or 4 years after?
I believe it's 4 years now.
Yeah, so imagine if you haven't got to play those. Would you rather go somewhere where you might
Well, I mean-
be 8-8?
I mean, I guess it depends on the situation, I mean, if you're sitting behind Brett Favre, I'm not going to argue that if I'm that quarterback.
Yeah.
Why would you, But look at the Cincinnati Bengals right now with A.J. McCarron. I mean, that dude has proven he can play in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's actually done really well in the few times he's been out there, but he's still sitting behind Andy Dalton, who had a
His
pretty...
girlfriend or his wife's hot.
Yeah, and she was an Auburn cheerleader.
That's crazy. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah, she was an Auburn
You ever
cheerleader.
seen AJ McCarron without his shirt on?
No.
You would have no idea. Like completely covered from neck down in tattoos.
Shut up.
Really,
Yeah,
A.J. McCarron,
Absolutely crazy.
Mr. Alabama, like...
Just like Kevin Durant.
That goes to visit all the kids in the hospital. And
Yeah, and I
stuff,
think
like-
the only reason I know that is all over Facebook, but they were calling Cam Newton a thug or something, and then there was the meme campaign for AJ McCarron with his shirt off, like who's the real thug? Not that I don't know that there were gang tattoos, but probably
So the
not.
guy's got tattoos.
Well, they probably
Yeah.
weren't My Little Pony tattoos either,
No,
That's crazy. No, I
or emo rap.
let me find it.
Lil Pimp. What was it?
little peep.
Little peep.
Little Peep.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a little pimp out there too.
God, I almost forgot about that. We had to bring that up. But no, I mean, like, AJ McCarron, he's still sitting behind Andy Dalton, who he used to be good. I don't know what happened last year. That whole Bengals
He
organization.
was really
is just- I
He
don't know.
he was looking really good.
He was. I got to watch him play in the Senior Bowl many years ago, and he looked fantastic. I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, like, man, whoever gets this guy's gonna be great. And he went on to do really well. And then they got AJ in the 5th round of the draft, and he's been sitting behind that dude ever since. And he had a little bit of a time to shine when Dalton got hurt right before the playoffs, and managed the game just fine, like he did at Alabama. Even shown some signs of greatness. In fact, there's a lot of people that say that he's the best, quote unquote, backup in the game right now.
Need the Drew Bledsoe
I
injury.
think it takes a pretty good athlete to sell cars while you're playing football,
That would be that's some Derek Carr shit right there, though, right?
right?
Yeah, we had that on the show a few
Don't-
weeks ago.
I told you not to bring that shit up anymore.
That
man.
commercial was amazing. Can we
Have
see
you
it
guys
again?
seen that shit?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
man.
The Derek Carr as a commercial.
Give me a second and I'll bring it up.
Yeah, we had it on the show last week. There's a commercial out there with Derek Carr.
As uncomfortable as the show can be, just be prepared for this shit. 'Cause it's-
Bobo brought it up a few weeks ago, and he didn't know what
I thought it was a movie I was watching. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I
You
was like,
did-
"What is he doing?"
you didn't know how to describe it on the show. You're like there's Derek Carr there, and then there's cars,
And a
and there's
smoke
trees,
machine,
and there's
and
trees,
trees.
and then sure enough we see the actual commercial, and those are the 3 things
Cars,
that are there.
smoke machines and trees.
Absolutely
and
crazy.
a chick.
And a chick.
And Carr's wearing some sort of like denim jacket with tassels.
But before we move into the MVP talk for this year, there's another trade that did happen over this past week, and I kind of want to touch on. It's the first time we've talked about pretty much any other sport other than football in a while. On basketball, Blake Griffin, he's been traded from the Clippers to the
Just got paid.
yeah, right, and he's
You
headed
know
over
what his
to
contract is?
what's that?
You know what his contract is?
I actually do not, but I imagine it's something interesting.
I just give you. It's a 5-year contract. Just take one guess at the total.
I don't know, 85 million.
You'd have to double that plus a little.
It's like a fucking
100.
soccer contract.
I heard 173, but I looked it up today and it was 171,294.
Get the fuck out of here!
No.
Jesus.
That's
It-
about 34 million a year.
So that dude is on his way to the Detroit Pistons now.
I've
And-
got it up whenever you guys are ready, by the way.
All right, cool. We'll get there in just a minute. But well, I mean, while this is up, I mean, let's talk about this for a minute. Like, 'cause I kind of
I saw this in passing one day.
are you talking about Detroit trade?
I think he was I think he was still continuing talking about the Blake Griffin trade.
Okay, yeah, good. Like, because I'm confused by it. Like, granted, I do watch enough basketball to sort of kind of know what I'm talking about, but lately, the last couple years, it's basically been two teams. This year, it looked like we might have a few others that are in contention. The Rockets look really good. The Celtics look really good, and that's about it. The Pelicans were looking really good, and then Boogie Cousins went down, and they're pretty much up shit creek without a paddle now.
The Sixers are fun to watch, or 76ers, and then the Greek Freak. But outside of that,
Up in Milwaukee.
Yeah, you're completely right that there's a handful of teams.
Yeah.
Thanks to Faja, I'm afraid to say I hate the NBA again because then I'm gonna look like a fucking idiot.
Well, I mean, I actually love
I
that.
don't know if last week on their show, he's got this guy on the phone. He's a fucking professional. They're talking about college basketball, but I was doing shit for the show because
Yeah.
I had to sit in for
Chad,
Chad
yeah.
that week, and they started out talking about NBA, but I wasn't listening because I was doing shit. And then when I came back, I thought maybe it was time to chirp in, and I just basically went on about how I was a college hoops fan, but I really just didn't like the NBA. Talked about where I came from and who my teams were and stuff, and then all of a sudden Faja goes, "Well, that's great. So we're going to continue talking about college basketball."
Kenny is not afraid to voice his opinion.
No, he's not.
Whoops.
That's what we love. That's why we love him.
So is Blake supposed to be the leader of the Pistons now?
See,
Is
that's-
that's going to be their
You
leader.
have to be able
That's
to
what
shoot the
confuses me.
basketball if you're going to be the leader of.
Yeah,
that's
that's-
the one part about the trade I don't understand. It's like he's going to be their nucleus of the Detroit Pistons.
Well, I mean, do
Fair
the
enough,
Pistons
but-
I would guess.
do the Pistons have anybody over there right now that's like a game
Isaiah
changer?
Thomas is
Yes.
making a comeback.
Is it
Benny,
Isaiah
Benny
Thomas?
Johnson coming back, or Big Ben Wallace.
Okay.
Lambeer.
Because I mean, the Detroit Pistons I haven't heard a lot about, and I try to watch First Take at Sports Center every
I
morning.
don't watch
but-
a lot of NBA anything, and not for any particular. I like watching college basketball, but
Yeah, me too. It's the NBA. It's just hard to get into nowadays. I mean, I still have a lot of respect for the
I
players
think
that
it's the
do it.
only
And stuff,
team,
but-
only like sport, little hockey I don't watch, but like a major sport that I don't have a team.
yeah,
I love to watch the Warriors, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they've got a million great players on there. But like growing up as a kid, I was a huge Orlando Magic fan when Shaq and Penny Hardaway were over there, and I tried to stick with that team even when Dwight Howard and the gang were over there, and I really loved that team too. And they fell right to the LA Lakers just like Shaq did. And I've kind of, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I've kind of given up on the Magic. I think they've won 13 games this year. They're pretty fucking bad. I think
Are the Pelicans better than the Magic?
the Pelicans were actually doing really well this year, and then
They
Boogie-
have the power of the unibrow.
Yeah, that's what I was
yeah.
going to say. Does Anthony Davis, has he mowed that thing? And
no man, he's riding that shit.
They had cheap
But-
tickets going on there for a while.
Well, Boogie Cousins was actually having like a career year over there in New Orleans, and then less than a week ago he tore his ACL and he's done for the year. And it sounds like things are going to go south for the Pelicans. But I know yesterday I saw this on ESPN today. The Magic and the Houston Rockets, they played each other, and James Harden alone outscored the entire starting lineup of the Magic. So that shows you what kind of a situation that the Magic are in right now. The Magic still only lost by 7, but I mean it's. Yeah, they suck. A lot of teams in the NBA suck. Like you said, it's just a few teams. And Cleveland, they're having kind of a weird year this year, and it just got more grim for them because Kevin Love this morning
Yeah,
was
I saw
announced
that.
6 to 8 weeks he'll be out with a broken foot, I believe, or broken ankle. I'm sorry.
Broken ankle.
no, his hand.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
hand
it's
Oh, was it a
very
hand?
awful.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was his hand.
I wasn't questioning the. I'm just like, when did he break an ankle? That's
I knew he had an injury. I thought for some reason I thought it was an ankle, but yeah, I guess he broke his hand and he's done for 6
I don't
to 8
think
weeks.
anybody there cares about Kevin Love. The way that
Second
he's
best player on the team.
Yeah, how he's portrayed in the media and all over Facebook and stuff. It's
They
like
trash him.
Yeah, they just trash him.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, as far as the actual like a feng shui, for lack of a better word use, like in that locker room and whatnot, like I just don't see this doing the Cavaliers any favors. I think this is gonna be the first year in a long time that LeBron James is gonna get a rude awakening when the playoffs start. And I mean, I think he knows it too. I mean, he's said it not too long ago.
Usually he has to wait till the finals for that.
He usually does, but I think maybe second rounds if he plays a hot Celtics team. No, I mean, who knows what could happen, dude?
I mean, they
It's-
should go down.
Yeah.
They're not playing well right now. I mean, like I said, I haven't watched a lot of NBA, but from what I've seen in the highlights and whatnot, they don't look very good. They don't look very strong. There's a lot of question marks there. It's just,
We got a friend, and I don't. You guys will have to meet him here soon. But Tony Adame is the sports editor for the Pensacola News Journal, and he lives right down the beach from us.
Okay.
And he's like, well, LeBron's had to, with Isaiah Thomas coming back, he's basically had to put the chemistry together again for a whole new team or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't ever remember Jordan having that trouble with
even after his
when somebody
hiatus.
had to step in or whatever.
How many different
Or Magic or Larry.
How many different centers did Jordan play with? It was
There's
crazy.
an army of them.
Yeah.
I feel like that debate's never gonna go away. Like for as long as LeBron James is playing basketball, they're always gonna compare those guys. Michael
They
Jordan.
can compare them all they want, and Kobe's better than LeBron.
How about to say even Kobe was able to pull that off? And
Yeah,
he
I
got
get-
that far away removed from the game.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to deny that because I hated Kobe Bryant so much growing up. But
I did for a long time.
I mean, the Lakers in general, they're just one of the like top 5 teams that I can't stand the most.
Really?
Yeah, well, because like I said, I grew up my whole life a Magic fan,
Right.
and they just take all of our best
I would
players.
think you would hate the Bulls.
I mean, yeah, I kind of don't like them either, but they had Michael Jordan. I had so much respect for him that's kind of hard to hate him.
Right.
But the Lakers, like, they took Shaq, they took Dwight Howard, like, they've been responsible for my Magic going downhill so many times. So I've just kind of learned to hate that team.
Dwight Howard was the biggest waste of a physical specimen in basketball history.
That whole thing was just ridiculous. The minute that guy went away, the entire team folded. The coach got fired shortly before that. Then Dwight went, then the general manager went, and then every single good player, Ryan and Anderson, all of them disappeared. It was absolutely crazy. What's over there, Kenny?
5 minutes.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, we got 5 minutes left on the show, so
Well, that's 5 minutes of video watching we can see with Derek Carr there.
do we really have to watch that video
Yeah,
again?
we do.
Can
we
we
have to watch it right now.
Can we just post it
They're
on the
waiting
No,
for it.
Can we
please
just-
watch? Here we go.
There it is.
With a gray ring.
This is not
I don't know
Photoshop.
how much more I can watch.
This is
Well,
not
you've already played it, so you're dealing with it now, buddy.
With a gray ring.
I was like, what? Why is there a slip machine?
With a gray ring.
Why are they in the middle of trees is what I want to know.
What
Like,
is
why are
that
they in the
jacket
forest?
he's wearing?
It's like Canadian classic.
All right, that's enough. That's enough of that.
Good for Derek Carr.
Wow.
You will never see.
Was that a Frontier Motors ad?
You will never see Aaron Rodgers in an embarrassing commercial.
He's been in quite a few commercials, bro. Some of them pretty funny, but I mean,
love the one with Clay Matthews
Yeah, those are pretty good.
in the hotel room.
I like
That
the
is
one.
classic.
I like
New
the
one-
one with
the new one where he's in the Raptor with the dog's a little suspect.
The one
the-
where he
when
puts
the
the
dog,
club
like,
through
calls
the
him
truck
out,
window.
whatever.
That's good.
When they're jumping and jumping the truck,
Yeah.
smiling and
Yeah.
sticking their heads
you'd
out
have
the
the
window.
time of their life, basically.
Yeah.
And then his
Tom
truck
Brady's
gets all
not
messed
making
up.
that commercial.
No, Tom Brady doesn't really do commercials,
He
does he?
doesn't need to.
He was in the Seth MacFarlane movie.
Did you see? Did you see them call his daughter?
Yeah.
Whiny
A
brat,
pissant.
something like that?
Yeah, whiny
on,
pissant.
on a
Was.
Boston radio station, like that's the stupidest
I
thing I,
mean,
can.
I'm sure they were just trolling, maybe, but
It was.
didn't come
It's
across
the
that way at
station
all.
that he does his weekly show on.
Yeah, like for years.
And,
right?
and Tom
Yeah.
Brady being the guy that he is, he even said he hopes that guy doesn't get fired. But at the same time, like if I owned that radio station, it'd be like the one guy I would
Not
you
want to-
should never talk bad about is Tom Brady. Talk bad about pretty much anybody you want to, just not him.
yeah,
like
he
I
also
mean,
he's not gonna do the show anymore.
He
too,
he
right?
came on after
So he was
that
thinking
with,
about not doing
with
it,
two
yeah.
other hosts,
Yeah.
and he basically is like, that wasn't cool, and
no, fuck no.
I'll
it's
think
not,
about
like-
I'll think about what I'm gonna do from here on out with the station, and
yeah.
pretty much checked out.
God, I don't blame him. That was just such a foolish
Was she
move.
making a noise in the background or something? I don't know. What,
I didn't actually watch it, but I mean, it doesn't matter what she
Still,
was doing.
It doesn't matter. She's
like,
a child, so
yeah.
whatever.
She's not even though she's involved in that video, she's not a public figure like her dad is. And even if she's, guilty by association because her dad's Tom Brady.
But it's a Boston radio station,
Yeah.
right? So
And that's your
Yeah.
quarterback that's pretty much,
it's not like he's
It's not
talking
like he
to
played for the Yankees.
He's calling the
Yeah, right.
Philly 102.3 fuck you. He ain't calling it that. He's calling the Boston radio station.
One of
his
probably the biggest comparison I can make to that is I'm watching a Baltimore Orioles game when I'm living there.
Yeah.
And Orioles are playing the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
So Adrian Beltre is playing third base for the Rangers. And Cal Ripken Jr. says Adrian Beltre is a better third baseman than Brooks Robinson was
Drops the mic.
on the air. I'm like, are you kidding me? You say that in Baltimore?
Yeah, that's enough to
Horrible.
piss some people off right there.
That's why Kevin Costner banged his wife.
You didn't hear that story? He forgot his glove and had to go back home for his glove, they say. The night that the power went out that was going to break the streak, that's the story in Baltimore.
Is that what it
Is
is?
that he went back home and Kevin was there hitting it and getting it.
Oh my god. All right, so we got just a little bit of time left, so let's
Did
just
he actually do something like that in a movie about?
who, Kevin Costner?
Wasn't he the baseball movie? He was one with Susan Sarandon.
That's Bull Durham.
Bull
Did he
Durham.
do something
Yeah.
like that in that movie, or maybe
Yeah,
I'm not
he-
remembering correctly?
Well, she was just
I'm
the
getting confused with Major League.
She was a house mom.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah, she was the clubhouse.
Major League's the one where Charlie Sheen goes
Yeah,
back and
yes.
fucks Tom Barrett. No, the cat. No, the pitcher's
Dor-
wife.
Dor-
Someone's wife.
Yeah, Dorn.
The
Dorn.
Dorn dude. Yeah,
Roger
that's
Dorn.
who.
I don't want to see any of this old lay shit, Dorn.
Roger Dorn.
That's a classic.
Real quick, we're gonna do around the table real fast on
Corbin Burnson.
two subjects, and then we're gonna call it a night. First off, MVP of the season. It's pretty much come down to Todd Gurley or Tom Brady. Kenny, we'll start with you over there, man. Who you feeling this year, Tom Brady or Todd Gurley?
I mean, I don't see.
He's thinking about it.
I don't see how Brady doesn't get it just because he's in it. You know, I mean,
Fair enough. He's the bigger name. Chad,
if
what do you
anything,
think?
the voters are just sick of voting for him. So
Yeah,
they
I
go with
think
Gurley.
Brady's going to be the guy that gets it, but Gurley, it's if you give it to Gurley, it's almost like participation trophy because
Yeah.
Brady's going to go after the big trophy. So
Yeah, fair enough. I would like to see Todd Gurley win it. I thought he had an amazing year. It was definitely a big breakout year compared to how he was last year. And I think it was a big part of why the Rams had success. But yeah, Tom Brady, if it weren't for him, Patriots wouldn't have made the playoffs probably. So yeah, I'm thinking Tom Brady. How about you, James?
I'm going to go out on a limb and go with Gurley. Brady
Nice.
had a little bit of a squeaky start with a couple of games, and where he was people were saying, has he lost it? Is he done?
Yeah.
He obviously not, but I'm going to go out on a limb.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley.
I like it. Bobo, what about you back
see
there?
these sort of things from a fantasy perspective, and I had Gurley on several teams.
I did
and
too.
He was really he did quite well. Really performed better than I expected, honestly.
He saved
So
one of my
got him at a pretty
teams.
good spot in the draft, so I'll have to go with Gurley.
Yeah. So I guess we're kind of split down the middle on that one. And the final one, Super Bowl 52 this weekend. Patriots, Eagles. Kenny, who's it going to be?
I really don't want to answer this. But no, I mean, I think it's going to be the Pats, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Without, you know, I mean, I just don't see Foles being good enough to lead them
On
to
the
a
big
victory.
stage.
Not against that team.
Yeah.
Especially considering that this is not only is this going to be pretty much a home game for the Patriots due to, you know, what has transpired recently with that team, their rabid fans and everything else, but it's, you know, I mean, there's going to be just so many things going against them.
Yeah, fair enough. Chad, what about you?
Patriots 34-21.
Patriots 34-21. I'm liking the Patriots 34-14. I don't see the Eagles having a very good game in this. I think they're going to be.
I'm gonna be so happy if that extra touchdown gets scored, and I was right.
I mean, yeah, I just don't see the Eagles just doing well in this game. I think they had a great season, they had a good playoff run, but ultimately the Patriots are not the Minnesota Vikings. They're a lot better, and I think they're gonna have their hands full, and it's just gonna be too much for them. So that's what I think. James, what about you?
I don't think Chris Long's going to have to worry about turning down an invitation to the White House. Patriots 31-17.
Okay, and Bobo.
I think Philadelphia's going to win because I don't think Philadelphia relies on quarterback play as much as people actually think they did this year, and I think they're going to win mostly defensively and with a pretty good running game, and with Foles doing just enough. I think they're going to catch Philadelphia. It's probably going to be something like 34-24. No. I'd say 24-14. I'm sorry. 24-14.
Well, you will have a lot to say next week if you end up being right on that one, dude.
Or not much.
Yeah, or not
Nothing at
much. Speaking of which, we've only got, I think, 1 or 2 more episodes left before we take a break for a little while. We got Valentine's Day coming up in the end of football season, which is usually when we take our extended hiatus for a minute before we get ready for season 3 and start talking about basketball and hockey and all that good stuff. So with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you very much, Chad and James, for coming by tonight, dude. We really appreciate it,
Thank you
dude.
very much.
Appreciate
And,
it, man. Thanks for letting us sit in. I
Dude,
enjoyed it.
Absolutely, man.
Bobo gets his seat back.
Yeah, Bobo gets his seat back next week. CJ may or not be here next week. I guess we'll find out when next week happens. Until then, thank y'all very much for tuning in for episode 60 of the Underground Pub Show. My name is Schreiber, here with our Play Harder Radio buddies, and Bobo and Kenny. We'll see y'all later. Peace.
Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time for the Underground Pub Show, right here on the Pimpy K Multiverse Network.
Is it possible for you to shut the fuck up for 10 seconds?